Then there's number 3. Are others offering a similar product? This is, you may not see this as very important in terms of getting to know your audience, but it really is. And the 3 important questions you want to ask yourself is your offer remarkably different from your competitors? If you're offering the exact same offer, then you're going to be competing against everyone else that has that same offer or product or service. And you don't want to do that. You want to distinguish yourself slightly differently so that the audience that you're trying to attract knows that you have the answer over the other person. So can you add a twist to it that will make it different and that your audience will respond to based on all of the things you know about them? So you know if they're male, female, you know their education level, you know that they're in the USA, you know that they have kids or don't have kids. Then you know how they're using your product. That was what we talked about in number 2. You know how they're using your product and why they're using your product. So great, add a little twist to what your product offers. Demonstrate that. Show them that. Inform and educate them about that little twist. That one little twist can make a significant difference when it comes to knowing your audience. The other thing you want to know is how well are the other offers doing? If you have a ton of people offering the same product and none of them are selling, then it may not be the best thing for you to do to get into the same market, because your audience has already seen all of these other products. They don't think there's anything different. So of course they won't think that your product has the answer either, because it looks like all of the rest of the products. Now, how do you increase your website traffic? Okay, so you know your audience. The other thing you want to do is dig 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 steps deeper into your audience's thought processes. So you want to know, how do they feel about things? And it's the things that pertain to your product or service. How do they feel about the nuances? Only you know the nuances of your product. Open your product, look inside of it, dig into it, and pull out every single piece and determine how your audience or your traffic will feel about that particular thing. What pains them? What keeps them up at night? I know you've heard that already. What keeps them up at night? The best thing to do when you're thinking about what keeps them up at night is you stay up at night. Stare at the ceiling. Think about your core audience and the traffic that you want to drive to your website. Think about what they would be thinking about at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the real active way of getting into their shoes, feeling their pain. Because guess what? You're staying up at night, not worrying about how you're going to drive traffic to your site. That's a different pain. That's your pain. You look for people like me to provide you with answers to that. But what are you solving? What problem are you solving? Stay up at night at 2 o'clock in the morning, stare at the ceiling, and feel what your particular traffic or audience is feeling, and then come up with answers. What do they fear? How are they afraid of something? Is their fear overwhelming them? Are they active toward their fear, or are they stagnant toward their fear? What are their likes and dislikes as it pertains to your particular product? You know what the product is all about, so you can simply answer some of those questions yourself. What do you like about your product or dislike about your product? If you had a wish list for the product, what would that be? What would you like to add on to it in the future? What is their perspective on life? In the grand scheme of things, how do they feel about life as it pertains to your product? If it's a pet care product, do they feel that there is a product out there, and maybe your product is it, that will prolong the life of their loved pet, or nothing will ever help that? What's their perspective on that? What makes them tick? Why do they think about the things that they think about as it pertains to that particular product, whether it's buying a vacation home or planning a trip? What makes them tick when it comes to that particular product? How do they communicate? Are they visual learners and visual communicators, or are they verbal communicators? Do they like to speak more? Do they like to read more? That will help gear your product or your message to the type of ways that they communicate. If they like video, then you want to create a lot of video content with action-oriented stuff in it. If they're a combination of video and reading, then you can do PowerPoint presentations. You have to think about how they communicate. If they like to read and they're Kindle people, then you have to create lots and lots of content in your blog posts. Those are the things that you want to know. What do they view as opportunities or obstacles? Are they the glass half empty or the glass full type of person? Are they opportunistic? So will they try different things even though other things haven't worked? Will they continue to try different things because they like to be presented with opportunities? Or do they see things as an obstacle? These things don't work. I don't really have a good perspective on that, so I'm going to lay back on it. Those are the kinds of people you might have to do dog and pony tricks, no pun intended, in order to win them over or to buy your product or to sign up for your form or just even get them to respond to any offer that you have and drive that traffic to your site. What's their day like as it pertains to that particular product? If they're planning a vacation, and let's say they plan the vacation 2 months out, every day before those 2 months, what are they doing? Are they researching online? Are they asking questions? Are they visiting travel agents? Are they, what are they doing? What's their day like as it pertains to that particular product that you're offering? Do they like to travel? If it's easy if you're a travel site, but now let's dig deeper into this. If they like to travel, what kinds of accessories would they need in terms of travel bags, handbags, any kinds of accessories that they would need in order to travel? Some people really like to travel in style. Do they buy the travel insurance or not? Those are the things you need to know. What are their hobbies? Do they have a hobby as it pertains to the thing that they're buying? If they're buying something from you or you want them to buy something from you, a product or a service, is there an attached hobby? Something that they would even buy more and more stuff that are accessories that go with that product because it's a hobby, but they're willing to spend money on it. Or it's a hobby that's related to the product or service that let's say they own a pet, so they want to buy a pet. And they're looking to you for advice about buying a pet. And then on the side, they sort of consider themselves to be pet trainers. Not really, but it's sort of a hobby of theirs. Things of that nature, whether the hobby is directly related to the product or service you're offering or not related. You want to know that because you can put information out on the World Wide Web that will attract them to your website, drive traffic to your website, based on knowing your audience, their hobbies, their travels, their opportunities, their likes, their dislikes, their perspective on life, what do they feel about things, what pains them, all of these different things. When you get into the head and the heart and the mind of the consumer and you understand the consumer's thought processes, that's a very, very, very significant way you can increase your traffic to your website. Where do they go for answers? Do they search for answers on the internet? Do they ask friends and families? Do they go to professionals in their local community? Do they go to forums? Do they create answers for themselves? Where do they go for answers? Know your audience. This is how you will drive traffic to your site. Increase traffic, not the surface traffic, but the deeper traffic that others aren't digging into. This is how you'll get to that traffic so that you can increase your website traffic far greater than the basic traffic. Okay, so we talked about simple ways to know your audience and increase website traffic. And we talked about targeting and zeroing in on the audience based on what you know about the audience. In part 3 of our 4-part series, we're going to now take what you know about your audience to find the best places to find cheap traffic that will direct that audience, that targeted audience, to your offer, to your website. So stay tuned. Part 3 is coming up next, and digest everything that you've learned in part 1 and part 2. And then in part 3, we're going to dig into how to find that cheap traffic based on what you know about your audience, connecting your audience with your traffic in order to get traffic to your website. Thank you again, and this is Tish Henderson.